No, we weren't. The concept was vetted by our finance committee, our staff, and ultimately the council, and we looked at other companies that didn't promise guaranteed savings.
Well, while administratively, myself and my team weren't hesitant, certainly it was something that was new for our city council, so there was some hesitation at the beginning, not being familiar with what a performance contract really was or what it could bring to the table. So there were members that may have had some hesitation.
We were hesitant at first to move forward with a performance contract, primarily due to dealing with past contractors and other consultants. Performance contracts were new to us with regard to a design-build type theme. We haven't done that before, but since then we've melded and we're willing to try that. At first they wanted to look at the entire city of Monroe. We're a metropolitan authority, so we service multiple jurisdictions, and once we were able to at least, we had needs at the wastewater facility and in our system, so they were willing to allow us to try that. Our city council would move forward with Johnson Controls on that end of the project.
Well, at the Michigan Public Service Commission, we know all about performance contracts. We know about energy efficiency and the benefits that it can provide. We have experts on our staff that are totally familiar with it, so we weren't at all hesitant to jump in and do energy efficiency projects.
Initially, we were. We had done a performance contract probably about 12 years earlier with another company. So we had some idea of what the performance contract situation was all about. So it was important for us to clearly identify what scope we wanted to obtain, how we wanted to measure performance, and exactly what did we want to include in the performance contract itself.
Well, the guaranteed performance contract provided for a really complete equipment upgrades that we needed, including the innovative liquid pool cover.
Well, performance contract helped us get the job done. You know, we wanted to have skylights and charging stations and solar panels and insulation. All those things we were able to accomplish through the performance contracting.
And going with the performance contract, because it's basically a one-stop shopping situation, it made it very easy for us. We only had one player we could deal with. We dealt with that person. We outlined what our goals were, what we wanted to accomplish. And then once we had everything in place legally as far as the contract was concerned, it went very, very quickly. Siemens basically did all the engineering for us, and we met with them periodically to review the progress of what was going on. And once we hit the go button, the whole project was completed, I think, in under 4 months.
You know, it really allowed us to do more of a one-stop shop. We were able to put together a number of components in one package and be able to have a more comprehensive energy project rather than having to piecemeal and take those pieces individually, which is more time-consuming, certainly more costly, and not as efficient. So this was able to give us the ability to package everything in a one-stop shop and provide for more efficiency in the project as well as the end result all at one time.
The advantages that the performance contract provided to us were wrapping up several scheduled capital improvement program type projects into one. Also wrapping up the design all in one, as well as having one accountable party for building it. On top of that, we were able to measure and incorporate the funding package with it, which was a QECB bond, a Qualified Energy Conservation Bond, low interest bond, with that to fund it. So it's a cheap way to borrow money, as well as the performance component, which is the measurement and verification process that will provide a sustainable operation moving forward with our rate model.
Any project you have, especially in a larger scope, there are always what we might call surprises, but I think here in this case there were pleasant surprises. We were able to expand the scope of the project and be able to bring some other components in that we weren't originally thinking about. What started as a traditional HVAC, heating cooling type of project ended up expanding to building envelope, other efficiencies. So that was a pleasant surprise and welcome because we were able to put together many more components than we had originally thought.
Well, the biggest surprise was how responsive the Honeywell Energy staff was, starting with our engineer, Mariana Zaletsky, project manager Joe Reb, and liaison Dick Williams. They promptly handled any issue that arose and did it very professionally.
Well, moving into a new building, which is actually, for us, it's an existing building that needed to be retrofitted for us to move in. We were very interested in having energy efficiency projects, but as a tenant, we understand there's challenges sometimes with owners and tenants in terms of getting energy efficiency projects completed. And so we are able to work around that with PACE financing especially, and we were able to work through that.
I think one of the most difficult things was actually doing the legal negotiations, going through the contracts. In our case, Wayne State, we consider ourselves a pretty big player. Siemens considers themselves a very big player. So we had two big giants kind of battling out, saying whose conditions are going to take precedence. So it took a while to work through that, but we were able to come to a compromise at the end. And that was probably the most difficult part of the whole situation.
Mainly just operational surprises. So some of the facility improvement measures, I call them FIMs, we had a few surprises once the product was built and installed. Some of the resultant effect, I guess, one of the FIMs was sludge dewatering. When they installed the system, it was producing odors to the point where it was unsafe for employees to go in. So we worked with Johnson Controls, and they provided a solution to correct that. And since then there's been no issue. So there's been a few of those type of situations, as well as coordination with shutdown and operations that we've had to work through. But it's been pleasant overall.
The biggest obstacle was really educating all of the players in the process. When you're taking an elected body who's really not familiar with a performance contract, you have to take the time of educating them of what this all entails, and also be very specific in detailing the savings that we're going to have, not only in time and money of being able to go this direction and this route, something generally unfamiliar in a traditional bid type of process or a project management. So the education piece was the hesitation and the education all put together.
Providing the necessary historic data that would be used to compare performance.
The big obstacle is the financing component of it. We understand how performance contracts work. It's basically a vehicle to address deferred maintenance with a little bit of energy savings thrown in there. In our case, our initiative, what we were trying to accomplish was more energy savings and less deferred maintenance. So we have to scale back the project from what we had initially scoped out. And instead of going with outside financing, we financed with the funds we had in hand. So I guess that was the biggest obstacle, was getting the financing in place and deciding what level did we want to make a commitment to.
Meetings, and communication. Really starting out educating of what we were trying to accomplish, spending a lot of time with all the players in the same room to deliver the same message, and really looking at the 500-foot aerial view of what the project is and drilling down from top to bottom of what we were going to achieve at the end.
Well, we overcame it by I guess researching our energy records and consulting with the necessary staff.
Some of the obstacles that overcoming it were the multiple jurisdictions with approving and moving forward with the project. Historically, we've spent about $40 million in the last 8 years to make improvements to our wastewater system, and this was another project on top of that. The problem was we didn't have the rate structure developed to be able to take on that additional cost for the ratepayers. So we had to look at other alternative means to fund this, and the performance contract provided that. There's accountability with the measurement verification to make it a self-sustaining project. So that was one of the requirements. And so that message, as well as the improvements, had to be approved by all the jurisdictions, and take a roadshow to go all the jurisdictions to get approvals before we could move forward with it. So that was some of the big obstacles to get moving through this project and building it into our master agreement that we have with all these jurisdictions. Bundling the projects, I touched on this a little bit earlier, was primarily the capital improvements. We had 14 capital improvement program projects that were outlined. A couple of them we've done studies on to look at what's the best alternative. Johnson Controls was able to take those, build those into their process, utilize the consultant that actually we were working with to utilize them for evaluating other spin-offs from those studies, as well as build on all these other capital improvements. And as mentioned earlier, bundling them all into one project, and it was about a $10.4 million project. The savings and the funding package was able to not affect our rate structure to cause additional cost to the ratepayers in our system.
Again, I think being able to put all of the pieces together, from looking at HVAC, looking at building envelopes, looking at other energy efficiencies through water or lighting, putting all of those together, we were certainly able to streamline the process of bidding, which otherwise would have done individually. By putting it together in one package, we were able to do that comprehensively at one time. By being able to have our consultants leading us through the process, taking all of the extra legwork out. It was a prepackaged delivery when we started the project. We already knew what was being identified, what our goals and objectives were. So a lot of the fact finding was done and brought to the table right at the beginning. And it certainly sped the process up, and we are saving on time, you're certainly saving on money and a lot of extra effort. So prepackaged is the best way to go, knowing what you're getting right from the start.
Well, we combine many needed equipment replacements, with the latest technology and energy efficiency. So it was a win-win for the community.
Well, the primary benefit is we were able to get the energy efficiency projects done up front. We're in this building for 20 years. We have lease payments that reflect that, and we'll be reaping the savings in our utility bills for 20 years. And so it's a very nice, nice package, and we wanted to be a leader for state of Michigan and other governmental buildings, other commercial buildings in the area.
We received energy savings, like I said, within about 4 months of when we hit the go button. So we were very pleased with that. Typically, because of the bureaucracy that's involved, because of the large organization we are, our projects tend to extend a lot longer than 4 months. So we were very pleased that the whole project was wrapped up within 4 months.
Means quite a bit, obviously. We're very honored to have that consideration and be a recipient of that award. As far as being awardee for Johnson Controls as their top project for the year and being selected, I don't know all the projects they do, but I'm very honored to be, filtered out to be the top and be the selected awardee, and being shown as the most cost-effective project for them for that year is certainly an honor for our community.
It's a great achievement for both the city and the community, especially our residents. We operate a business. Our residents are our employers and our customers, and when we can do something that provides more energy efficiency, cost savings, and add that environmental aspect to it, we've really done the right thing. And to be able to package that up, we're an example as good stewards to our residents and our taxpayers, but also a great example for neighboring communities of why they should get involved in projects similar to this.
Well, our committee as a whole is very energy sensitive, and they're very interested in green projects. This is a major step in cutting our energy usage, replacing old inefficient equipment, and really included total replacement of our local street lighting system with a new LED savings. Lighting, tremendous savings. Our public was very happy with what we did.
Yes, I think others are looking at us and saying, you're the Public Service Commission, you participate in energy efficiency decision making, and you're actually doing it in your own building. And so I think that's a great example, and others are following.
I think it's something that we can be proud of. A lot of times we're so busy we don't have a chance to step back, take a breath, and realize some of the good work that we do at Wayne State. And I think it's also we like to get the recognition from our peers as well. So it's very well received, and thank you very much.